morning, church. It's good to be with you again today. I just want to thank Jordan and the rest of the worship team for leading us in musical worship today. It was awesome, and it's a blessing to have someone like Jordan who can fill in and gain experience in leading. We're blessed to have someone with so much talent, and it's also a blessing to see him use that talent to glorify God and to give back the gift that was given to him. It's a perfect example of what we should be doing. It's also was incredible to see Anna at the drum set today. It's been a difficult season to include multiple people in the worship setting. So it's great to see people worshiping and leading us that haven't gotten a chance to be in that situation for a while. On a side note, I did see a video the first week that we were fully online and nobody was really here except for the people being baptized and the staff. But I saw a video where Anna was actually at home drumming along on her tabletop to the worship as it went, as I was leading with the guitar. And it was just kind of cool to see that video of her engaged in worship at home while watching the live stream. That's probably been the hardest part of this past 7 to 8 weeks, is that when we're on stage, when we're here, when there's people here, there's a natural energy, and you can feel that energy, and you're almost in a moment together. And when it's been online, it's just hard to see whether that's landing. It's hard to see whether we're engaged or not together. So seeing that video was really cool. But let me just say that our weekly attendance online and the comments that have been filling up the comments section has been really encouraging to us as a staff. You guys are checking in weekly, and we're able to be together even though we're apart. One of the favorite things that I've seen so far has been just the online hugs that I've seen being sent from person to person in the comments section. A genuine desire to be together. And that's what this church has, and that's what's so amazing, is to be a true family even when we're apart. And we long to be together, and we can't wait, and we're counting down the weeks. We want to be together, but it's been really cool to see you guys interact with each other online, and just know that it hasn't gone unnoticed. Well, if you're anything like me, these past few weeks and months have been a bit difficult. A lot has changed. And like most people, I haven't dealt with it very well. Even in preparation for this sermon, I was just kind of searching. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what I wanted to say. The roadmap for this message just wasn't coming to me. I wasn't understanding what I wanted to do and where I was going to go with this. See, it's been about a year since I last preached, and I'm a bit out of practice. And now, knowing how little I've enjoyed, and trust me, very little have I enjoyed leading worship to a camera, I've been worried that if I don't get the right message or whatever, I'm going to really feel uncomfortable when I'm trying to preach in front of a camera. It's got me out of my comfort zone. This past few weeks has brought a lot of change for a lot of people. Men and women laid off of work and wondering when and if they will be called back. Stay-at-home orders that have left many worried to even leave their home and engage in anything public. Business owners wondering if their business will survive this storm. People getting sick with a deadly virus that everybody just wants to go away. Teachers redesigning curriculums and teaching via video chat. Parents turning into homeschool parents for the first time. No real change in my family, but to a lot of parents, that's been a big adjustment. Today is Mother's Day. In a time in our lives where most of us won't be able to see our mothers or children won't be able to go home to their parents to celebrate that Mother's Day time together. That might seem a silly thing to be dejected about, but the truth is our mothers deserve the best. And today we can't really give them our best in most cases. I wish every mother a happy See, I'm nervous. It's okay. I wish every mother here a happy Mother's Day. It's such a great day to honor our mothers. You guys are incredible. The love of a mother is a beautiful thing. And I know that I am blessed beyond measure to have the mother that I have. And I hope that your days are filled with love and whatever amount of closeness that you can have with your children today. Truthfully, one day a year, it's not even close to enough to celebrate moms, compared to the amount of time that they spend raising us and loving us and nurturing us. There aren't enough flowers or dinners or time spent together that can possibly make up for all that you women do. So thank you. Thank you so much for being moms. You're an incredible example of love and patience. And if there's 2 words that I can use to describe motherhood, it's love and patience, because to be a mother, you have to be patient. These past few weeks have also been incredibly tough for our seniors in high school. They didn't get to finish their winter sports tournaments. They had just started when they were pulled away. They didn't even get to have a spring sports season or a last band concert or last choir concert or a last musical or play. They never got to say goodbye to their favorite teacher or have that feeling that it feels like to walk out the doors one last time. Their graduations have been put on hold. Their graduation parties have been postponed to a later date. I don't believe it's trivial at all to wonder if they have missed out on a rite of passage. This year we have 3 different seniors in our church that I want to take a moment to highlight. First of all is Dustin Hodson. Now Dustin is such a talented young man. I really have enjoyed the times that I've gotten to spend with him. Dustin actually played drums for us about a year ago on a Sunday morning. And unfortunately, I haven't done a very good job of getting him back into the mix. And I feel badly about that because I want to help him use his gift to glorify God. Dustin loves music and teaches himself many instruments. He's actually told me that he plans to move down south and study electric, and that somehow Disney is going to be paying for that, and he is going to be able to work with Disney or something like that. I don't fully understand it, but it's a really neat program that he's going to be able to be a part of to be an electrician, and I'm just so proud of him for that. Dustin, I just want to say congratulations on graduation. You are an outstanding young man, and it's been great to know you. And I hope that we can continue to cross paths in the future. McKenna Sovis started coming around a few years ago when she started dating Carson Bornfeld. She's been a blessing to have around since. McKenna is wise and understanding. I've been quite impressed with her level of maturity and her desire to know God more. McKenna plans to attend SVSU in the fall and study pre-medicine. McKenna, I wish you all the luck in the future. And I hope that you will continue to search out the wisdom that only comes from the Holy Spirit. God has a plan for you. Our 3rd senior is Jordan Renfro. I still remember the first interaction I had with Jordan back when he was in junior high. He and his brother Dylan were the only junior hires that showed up on a Wednesday night, and I had no idea who they were. We sat and talked about sports, and I quickly learned of his love for basketball. And unfortunately, the Green Bay Packers. Ugh. Parents, can we stop raising our children to be Green Bay Packer fans? I mean, seriously, this is bad. All kidding aside, Jordan, you're a great guy, a really great guy. I've really enjoyed getting to know you, and especially enjoyed watching you worship God last summer at CIY and get to know him in a new way. The truth is, kids grow up too quickly. And Jordan, you've grown up too quickly, and we're going to miss you. But I want you to know that I want you to focus your life on Jesus, and trust me when I say that he is all you need. He is all you need. Though our seniors' numbers are small this year, their impact is greater than you might imagine. It's never easy to see our students move out of the youth ministry. Over the next few years, they will make thousands of decisions that will determine who they are. And we just hope that they are trusting in God and putting Him first. I always hope and pray that I am, in some small way, have been able to show them that the most important decision they can ever make is to follow Jesus. And what I mean by that isn't necessarily that they get baptized. I want them to get baptized, but I don't want that to be where it stops. I want them to grow in Christ daily. I want them to have a life of faith. It's my hope and prayer that these graduates will know Christ and His saving grace, and they will choose to live a life of outpouring praise to Him every day, that they would praise their Father in heaven. So their senior year didn't really go as planned. Mother's Day, it's really not going as planned. Truthfully, our world really isn't going anything like we expected it to when we watched that ball drop on New Year's Eve in December. We entered a new year and it's gotten crazy. A lot has changed, and as the dust settles, I wonder, where do we go from here? That's the question that's been in my head as I try to focus on writing this sermon. See, I've been in a haze lately. I haven't been able to focus. I haven't been able to accomplish as much as I would have liked to over these past 8 weeks or so, because their distractions just seem to be everywhere. Now, you may be saying, Mark, how are you distracted? Nobody's coming to the church building. And you'd be right. But I believe that's why I'm distracted. The church isn't a building. It isn't my daily routine as a minister. The church is you. And I've been missing my church. And I believe it impacted me more than I thought it would. So I searched for guidance, and the only thing that seemed to resonate, the only thing that I could grasp my head around that I wanted to say was this question: where do we go from here? You see, our seniors are kind of asking that question right now. Where do I go from here? One phase of my life is over quicker than I expected it to be, and now I have to go into a new unknown. Where do I go? What do I do? Our small business owners are asking the question, where do I go from here? I planned out a business, and now it's questionable whether I'll ever be able to reopen. Our teachers are asking the question, where do I go from here? I'm so used to teaching with students, and now everything is from a distance. Will everything get back to normal? Will it ever come back? Where do I go from here? Our sports leagues are asking the question, where do we go from here? Do we reopen without fans? Do we continue our season? Do we start our season? Let me just say, I need sports back. I'm going crazy. I have this true fear that if the NFL and the college football season are delayed in opening in the fall, that seriously people are going to lose their minds, and I might be one of them. And so I understand that. There's so many examples I could use. The question is, where do we go from here? I don't think the question is unique to our situation. I believe this question has been asked multiple times throughout human history. Imagine, if you will, settling into a new land after a 2-month journey across the Atlantic in the Mayflower. You get off the boat into the unknown, a new colony, a new world. Where do you go from here? Imagine being a civilian in Europe after the Second World War was finally over and seeing the devastation of your city, the buildings knocked down, the families that are gone, people that have died, thousands that didn't come back home. I imagine there was a thought, where do we go from here? What's next? What do we do? Imagine being a family of one of the victims of the Salem witch trials, having to pick up the pieces of your life after one of your family members was murdered because supposedly they were a witch. Do you suppose they wondered, where do we go from here? Imagine being Lot and his family, packing up and leaving in the middle of the night before God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, the place that you called home. Or Noah, What was it like stepping off of that ark and entering back into a world where you're the only living people on the earth? Where do we go from here? Or Jonah, after the great fish spit him out. Or the disciples after Jesus was crucified. Where do we go from here? I guess the reason this question resonated so much with me is because it's so applicable at this time. Things have changed, so where do we go? High school is over, so what do I do? My child is growing up and moving out of my house. Where do I go from here? In John chapter 14, Jesus is addressing his disciples and preparing them for his death. The disciples seem to not quite understand what Jesus is trying to tell them. Sometimes the disciples get a bad rap because they didn't quite understand Jesus, but I think that we're probably in that same boat many times, just a little naive, not quite understanding. You see, we often get confused because we try to rely on our own wisdom and our own vantage point in life to get us through these circumstances. But Jesus reveals his truth to us. And it's oftentimes so simplistic. Let's not look past what Jesus is trying to say in John chapter 14. The disciples were unknowingly about to enter the most chaotic time in their lives. In a matter of hours, the rabbi would be arrested, given an unfair trial, nailed to a tree, die a criminal's death, be laid in a tomb with a gigantic rock rolled in front, and a Roman guard placed in front of the entrance to defend. They would be left to wonder if they would die similar deaths. Their whole world would change in a matter of hours, but Jesus reveals his truth to them in this conversation. Let's read John chapter 14, beginning in verse 1. Don't be troubled. You trust in God. Now trust in me. There are many rooms in my Father's house, and I am going to prepare a place for you. If this were not so, I wouldn't tell you plainly. When everything is ready, I will come back and get you, so that you will always be where I am. And you know where I am going and how to get there. No, we don't, Lord, Thomas said. We haven't any idea where you're going, so how can we know the way? Jesus told them, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you had known who I am, then you would have known who my Father is. From now on, you know him and have seen him. The disciples were confused, but Jesus was clear. He is showing them that he was the way to the Father. When their world was flipped upside down, when everything was vastly different, when Jesus had risen, given them a charge, and ascended to heaven, the disciples changed. Where did they go? They went straight to the way, the truth, and the life, and showing that to everyone they encountered. Jesus changed their lives. They truly became fishers of men. So here we sit at a crossroads. Some are asking what the future holds. Some are wondering, where do we go from here? And my answer to that would be, we go to Jesus. Nothing has really changed. We still go to Jesus, and he still leads us to the Father. He is the way, he is the truth, and he is the life. He is the answer to the questions. He's the way to the Father. He's the guiding light. He's the one true God. He's the lighthouse in the storms of life. He's the shelter in times of trouble. He's the bright and morning star. He's the one who loves the truest. He's the one who cares the most. He's the one we worship and adore. He's the one that makes all things new. He's the Prince of Peace. He is the reason we have breath in our lungs. Jesus is what matters now, what matters in the future, and to be as honest as possible, he's the only way to a future. Jesus is all that matters. We live in a world that's so grossly obsessed with self, with material possessions, with achieving greatness or popularity or money or fame. We spend much of our time focused on what we don't have and what we want. Jesus is spending his time preparing a place for us so that we can be where he is. He longs to be in relationship with us. He desires to be worshiped by you, his children. In this time of uncertainty and panic and chaos, I believe Jesus is reminding us simply that he is the way. Government isn't the way. Knowledge isn't the way. The highest paying job isn't the way. More friends or that storybook wedding isn't the way. Focusing on self-preservation isn't the way. Athletes and Hollywood personalities aren't teaching us the way. Being the best employee at the expense of our family isn't showing our children the way. Going to church in an effort to put our time in isn't the way. Jesus is the only way, the only truth, and the only life. Life, though, is fragile. 1 minute we're here and the next minute we're gone. We are but a vapor in the wind, a moment in time. Some have lost their lives in this pandemic. Lives have been changed, futures have been altered. We sit here and wonder what happens next. Where do we go from here? And I think the answer to that question is that Jesus is still the way, the truth, and the life. And nobody comes to the Father except through him. If we truly want a future, then the answer to the question is Jesus. Simply Jesus. When the disciples heard the message hours before Jesus was arrested, they didn't quite understand, as I'm sure we haven't understood before. But when Jesus ascended to heaven and the Holy Spirit entered their lives, I believe the phrase, "I am the way, the truth, and the life," became a life phrase to the disciples. The disciples became strong where they used to be weak. They no longer feared persecution or death. They embraced it. They changed the world by telling everyone about the one true future, Jesus. Nothing could stop them, and nothing has stopped the church since. We may not be together right now, but we're still the church. The church cannot be stopped. So whether you're a graduating senior wondering what the next phase of life is, or you're one of the millions who are wondering where we go from here, I think the answer is before us. It's the mission of the church to tell everyone about the way, the truth, and the life, Jesus, and to let nothing stop us. So that's my challenge to you today. As we navigate the next steps, as we press on and go back to normal, quote unquote, don't lose sight of our calling as Christians. Let's press on towards the goal to win the prize that God has called us to. As a church, our answer to uncertain times and difficult situations is simply Jesus. He is the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through him. My prayer for this church is that we'll display that to the world. That we will change like the disciples did. That nothing would stop us from showing everyone Jesus. That when our world continues in chaos and people are searching for truth, that we would be the ones with the message that matters. That Jesus is the way and Jesus is the truth you're seeking. That they need him. So where do we go from here? To Jesus. To the way. To the only truth and to the life that only he can give. That's where we go.